Well, hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of GFactor with Glennis. I'm your host, Glennis Gassman, and today's guest is Denise Dudley. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Glennis. How you doing?
Yeah, really well, thank you. So look, Denise is a professional trainer and a keynote speaker. She's a founder and former CEO of SkillPath Seminars, which are the largest public training company in the world. And Denise speaks all over the world on a variety of topics, including management and supervision, assertiveness, leadership, communication, personal relationships, and career readiness. And she's the author and a business consultant. And her latest book, which is a great title, Work It, Get In, Get Noticed, Get Promoted, currently is in third printing on Amazon right now. So Denise is always up to something, and she's got some exciting things that we're going to talk about today. So with that being said, I want to welcome you to the show, Denise. Thank you so much for being here. Where are you coming in from in this big wide world of ours today?
I am in California, sunny California. It was rainy California yesterday, but it's sunny California today.
Yeah, perfect. They say here on the Gold Coast in Australia, it's beautiful one day, perfect the next. I think California's like that as well. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And how's your day been so far?
It's been great, actually. I've had a very good day. It's been busy. I accomplished a lot. And I also was able to get outside and take a walk, and that helped a lot. So I, in the middle of the day, got outside and got a little bit of exercise, which always brightens my spirit.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of fresh air is always good for the soul, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah, the down thinking time, I say it, it's just like no thinking, just being. And
Yes.
It's amazing what comes up in that time.
It is, yeah. And a lot of times when I'm walking or when I wake up in the morning and I'm just lying in bed awake, not intending to go back to sleep, but just lying there and just thinking about what my day is going to be like and things I want to accomplish. It's just really productive time for me, even though I look like I'm lying there.
So Denise, to start the show off with, I know that you're currently working on and you're pretty excited about career readiness. And, obviously change is upon us everywhere at the moment with, the global pandemic. And importantly, what goes with that is people are changing, this career change around, and the Great Resignation 2021 all over the US and the world. You do lots of keynote speaking and, consulting with all sorts of clients around career readiness. What made you get involved in that topic? And, why is it so important to you?
Well, I love that question. And I've not actually been asked that question in that way before. So what really got me excited about it is that I started working, well, I teach a lot on campuses. So I do a lot of work on college and university campuses around the United States and Canada. And a lot of what I was noticing was that students were learning specific things about, we'll say, accounting or about sociology or nursing or any other particular skill, but they weren't really learning how to go get jobs. That was a whole different thing. So you get your degree in, we'll say, teaching, then you go out and have to become a teacher. It involves a job interview. It involves creating a resume. It involves probably multiple interviews. And a lot of people were leaving colleges and universities, in my opinion, without the skills to navigate that world. So I decided that I wanted to start focusing on that. Luckily, there were a lot of colleges and universities, at least here in the US, that were, in a sense, waking up to the same thing that I was waking up to simultaneously. So there really were centers, counseling centers and things within different schools, like the School of Nursing, the School of Education, the School of Engineering, that were helping students who were graduating with their career skills. And so I got to match up quite a bit with a lot of different campuses and teach career readiness. So for me, career readiness was the nuts and bolts of it. Nothing theoretical, more just like, what do you need to do? How do you need to look? What do you have to say in order to be able to land that job? And I was learning by trying to teach it, that a lot of students truly didn't have, not through any fault of their own, I don't mean it that way, but they really didn't have a clue about the ideas of, you have to show up early for an interview. You have to make sure that you dress on the conservative side. You have to make sure that you've got 3 unique selling points about yourself that you're going to hit that interviewer with so that you become the person they want to hire. So I just got interested in it because it seemed like there was a gap in it.
Yeah.
And then I wrote the book Work It. I would do a lot of lectures on this. And then there wouldn't be, people would come up and say, what are resources I could read later? And so I, with all respect to other authors, I didn't feel like there was a comprehensive book that really explained, here's what you need to do. You need to figure out what your passion is, figure out your goals, figure out how you're going to align those, figure out how to go on an interview. What's your resume look like? What happens if you go through an interview online first and now you have to go appear in person? What are the differences? So I decided to write that book and include everything that I thought was useful into one resource. So that's what Work It is, actually.
That's amazing. It's like the common sense guide to, you know, landing the job of your dreams or that you've been educated for. You know what I mean? I so resonate with that because as an accountant, so I started studying, you know, as a mature age student with 2 little kids and sheets on the windows for curtains, you know, for a new home, right? So, and I became an accountant after 6 years of study by correspondence and part-time. So it was a real discipline to get up at 4 a.m. and do all this, right? And I remember going to applying to run a practice. So it wasn't just an accountant working for someone else. I actually wanted to run my own practice. So I had to go through a practicing certificate, and you had to go away for the weekend and do this with other accountants where they taught you how to run a practice. Because being an accountant and running an accounting practice are 2 totally different things, right? And, you know, what you were saying about, you know, getting there early, like same sort of deal with your clients. You know, you've got to be prepared before your clients come in. And then same with the USPs, you're going to have 3 unique selling points about yourself. Well, if you haven't got what I call a market dominating position, which is what, you know, I teach coaches to do now, is to create in your business. If you haven't got that, you're never going to be unique and stand out in front of others. So like, it's just so interesting to see how, you know, you've wrapped all this up into a common sense guide into landing the career of your choice, not actually, and getting the right position. So that's really cool that you had the vision and the foresight to do that. Did you actually, you know, have that, you know, was there a pain point somewhere in your life where that happened to you when you created all this? So, why we do things typically is because of an experience that we've had ourselves, that we want to change the world in some way. We don't want that to happen to others. Is there something like that there?
Wow, you asked the best questions. Thank you. Seriously, again, no one has ever asked me that question. So I am thinking about it right now. What happened to me in my career is that I feel like I was tremendously lucky. I just tremendously lucky beyond my imagination, that it just seems like things just went right for me. And I went from being in college, you know, to graduate school, to, you know, becoming a psychologist. And I was already working in a psychiatric facility, honestly, bottom of the line, like psychiatric aid stuff. But I really worked my way to the top of that organization and became its clinical director without ever actually going on a job interview or do any of the things that we're talking about or any of the things that I put into my book. It just kind of happened. And then my next career as a professional speaker, well, I was already doing a lot of speaking. I loved it. I was good at it. And so I got hired to be a national level speaker without really going through a big process with that. So I sort of, I guess I could say, kind of snuck by without those skills necessarily. But I started watching the students I was working with when I was lecturing, and watching what things were happening with them and to them. And so it was really more an empathic journey for me, watching others not slide by the way I did, but hit bumps in the road where they really didn't know how to, literally didn't know how to shake hands, literally didn't know how to shake hands, literally didn't know how to sit down in a job interview and not fidget with their fingers and things, so that these things seemed to be things that weren't a natural progression of their education. It needed to be inserted and taught. So thank you for that question. I was just lucky. And I should have had the skills that we now teach people, like how to come up with a resume and such. I didn't know any of that. I really
No.
didn't.
Yeah, but what you're describing to me is very much a way of being, isn't it? It's like, we get taught all these things, but then, on how to, for me, it's like, preparing financial statements, tax returns, and then more importantly now, how to grow businesses and things like that. But, you're never really taught the art of communication and, all the facets of communication, and then, your way of being around that, and that way of being, getting a job interview is really about courage and confidence.
Yes.
But that's ours, right?
Absolutely. Building confidence and showing it, for sure.
And it'd be so great to have that I always say these sorts of things, it'd be so great to have this in the high schools or in the, before they even get to the university level, to have that in there. Are you doing any work around, doing some work around that?
Well,
yeah.
That leads to something very interesting, at least here in the US, which is bothering me right now, frankly. And that's that colleges and universities are quick to bring me in for their graduating seniors, usually juniors. I prefer to get them a little earlier because, at least in the US, we often do internships and things like that. So I'd rather get freshmen in college, because then we've got lots of time to figure out all these things, like, well, their social skills, their communication skills and things. But back to the point, universities and colleges are quick to want to bring me in to speak to students about graduating and finding a job. So in high schools, I have been on a campaign, I guess, talking to high schools, various high schools, not a lot of them, so I can't say that I have hundreds of high schools I've spoken to, but I've spoken to enough that I'm starting to get this pattern. What's happening is that high schools are mostly interested in promoting their students toward college. However, there is a group of young people in the world whom I believe are underserved, are not even served, not even underserved, they're simply not served. And those are the students who are not college bound, God bless them, for whatever reason. Maybe they don't want to go.
We need everyone in the world.
We need everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have the capability of getting to a college because of financial issues, social issues. There are lots of reasons why people don't go to college. And when I've approached high schools and said, I would really love to do a program, and by the way, this is gratis. I don't even charge.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this pro bono? We call it pro bono over here. Yeah.
Totally gratis. I would love to be able to speak to your graduating seniors who are not headed to college and speak to them about their career jobs. Now, I always distinguish career job from just the job you had in high school when you were delivering pizza or something, doing whatever you were doing.
Checkout chick over here.
Exactly, yeah, those sorts of things. So we all had those. I was a lifeguard. I wasn't going to be a career lifeguard. It was just how I earned some money in high school. So with those high school students who are not college bound, I have offered many, many high schools the opportunity to have the students come into a classroom and have me work with them about how do you find your career job. You're not headed to college. So now you're 18 years old over here, at least, and you're having to go out into the world and figure out a whole lot of stuff that you don't have the time to figure out, really, and often not the skills. What do you love? What are you passionate about? What's your resume look like? Where are you going to apply? How do you get to the job interview? And I haven't had, to date, I have not had one high school take me up on it.
Ah, really? What an opportunity lost.
So in investigating a little bit further, I have learned kind of indirectly that a lot of high schools are really, a lot of their funding, a lot of their popularity, a lot of their success is based on how many students do we send to college, not how many students do we put out there to have happy, joyful lives as car mechanics. But yet those people they deserve everything that everyone else deserves. So high schools are a block for me. I don't know, even maybe this program will get me some invitations, because I have a program that I would be glad to take to high schools.
Yeah, well, we can certainly be promoting it out there to the high school people, because like you said, in this world, like, it takes all sorts to build a community and to build the world. And we certainly need, like, I know Richard Branson, he didn't start off with a college degree. And I'm pretty sure that, if we name the top 20 people that get followed in the world, the Bransons, the Dan Kennedys, and the, Tim Ferriss, and all of those people, have a look and see, even your ex-president over there, I don't think they had a college degree when they left college, all right? They went out into the real world and they got some skills, life skills, people skills, those sorts of things. And it's only been through them actually seeing that there's a gap somewhere that they can fill, there's some wrong that they want making right, there's something not working that they want to get working, that they then educate themselves and move forward with how they want to do it. And they may do it like how I did it, doing part-time correspondence, 2 kids, created a business, an accounting practice, very successful accounting practice, sold that, now growing businesses and creating a coaching business, which I have 17 coaches around the world that I'm mentoring in the same processes and systems and things that I do to help businesses grow. Did I get a degree straight after school? Did I? No. No, I was too interested in boys right then. So.
Well, that's a valid thing, of course, yes.
Yeah, I didn't, I didn't have anyone directing me, I was like, no, I don't want to do that, right? And clearly, and so I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who would, really benefit from, what you could be offering. And if it's as a pro bono, I don't see why people would not be taking that up as well. So, yeah, we'll put this out there to anyone listening today. Any high schools in California that want to have someone chat to them about, how to get, how to service all of their high school pupils, and when they get out into the real world, you need to talk to Denise about that. So look, we're talking about making positive changes on people and things like that. And throughout your career, you would have, through what you do, you would have seen some, really major positive changes with people, because what you do, when you have a career that works for you and you love it, obviously that just filters through to all areas of your life, your personal relationships and everything. And, you then have these emotional triggers that go off, like happiness and being joyful and self-expressed and things like that. So do you have any funny stories, or do you have anything a story you can share with us about the success story, or an impact that you've had, a very positive impact on someone's life?
Well, thank you for that. Because I speak to so many students, of course, I have now many former students who are my friends, and because we became kind of like, I became kind of like their mom in a certain way, not just a mentor, and not just somebody who was training them, but a mentor. And so this is just a quick one, but next summer, 3 of my former students are getting married at my home. And this past July, I actually was the officiant and married another one of my former students. And so they stick around. We develop because I am relationship oriented. It isn't just a quick, here you are, goodbye. I tend to get bonded with people, and so many of my former students have become my lifelong friends. So I feel like being seriously connected to someone and caring enough about the outcome does generate feelings of love and togetherness, of community. And also a lot of my former students know each other, so they get together, and so in a way, caring about people does go a long way. When somebody knows you really care about them and you're going the extra mile, it comes back to you. So I feel like my life has been incredibly blessed by my journey with my students. But I do want to tell you an interesting success story, and it has to do again with, I'm a behavioral psychologist, so I break everything down into behaviors. And when I teach people how to interact with one another, I break communication down into 7 very specific components: your eye contact, your facial expression, what your posture is saying, what your hands are doing, voice tone, voice loudness, and verbal content. Those are the 7. And I work on each one of those with people very individually. And I do a lot of personal coaching to make sure that people have all those things working in alignment. Now on Zoom, things are a little bit different. So when people are doing interviews on Zoom, we change a little bit of that up, what we're doing about eye contact, what we're doing with our hands, those sorts of things. But I do want to tell the story of a young man who had many challenges with his social skills. He had graduated from college, from a university, with the highest marks imaginable as an engineer, an electrical engineer. That's a really smart person, electrical engineer.
Yeah.
So, but he wasn't getting jobs. He would be going to job interviews and nobody was even bringing him back for a second interview. So we took it down to the basics, the absolute basics. And so I remember when this was happening, because I'm also an announcer. I work doing a lot of announcing for film festivals. I just have fun with my life. So I was doing some announcing for a film festival. So I would start a movie and introduce a filmmaker, then I would run out, and this young man was working with me in the lobby of this theater. So we would literally start with, all right, I'm about to meet you. You're walking down the hall. I'm your interviewer, and you've got your resume in hand, and I'm about to shake your hand. And you're about to say, how do you do? We're about to sit down and do an interview. And we broke interviewing skills down into the tiniest components. Now, as a behavioral psychologist, that's what I do with psychiatric patients or anybody else. I don't just say hello to me. I say, you've got to make direct eye contact. You've got to pause this much. You have to speak this way. But we broke the handshake, just the handshake down, and practiced it over and over and over again until all the components came together. Then we worked on his voice tone. Then we worked on his eye contact. We went through it all. And I'm so happy to tell you that he went on his next job interview and he nailed it and he got a job.
I can imagine. Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Oh, I was so happy. And of course, that has zero to do with his resume, so to speak. It was the same resume that many other people had turned down. It had only to do with how he presented himself. That's how important it is.
Exactly. I say the same sort of thing to my coaches, right? It's like you've got the skills, you've got the whole online digital assets behind you, you've got everything. It's your way of being. So if you're not listening, like we got given 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? So, if you're not listening to what your potential client is going through in their business, what their pain points are, and if you're not actually hearing that, you're not going to get the gig. You're also not going to get the gig if you just rock up once. You've actually got to nurture people on a buyer's journey for many, many times. And eye contact, being present, the way you shake your hand, everything you've just said, that whole thing is so in line with coaches, actually, because coaches are like accountants, like I say architects, engineers, they're all very highly analytical and they're great at what they do. But when it comes to the social skills and people skills, they're really hard to navigate that. I know myself, when I decided I was selling my accounting practice back in 2008, and I was taking over the coaching role in a coaching business I created, I really literally felt the molecules changing from one side of my head to the other, I think. It's like, oh my God, and it was such a challenge. I was so uncomfortable. I never used to like speaking with people.
Really?
No, absolutely. I used to be behind my desk, behind my computer screen, and felt very comfortable plugging away at numbers and things like that. And
can I ask you a question then? Do you mind? I know it's
you can ask me a question.
So was there something that occurred in your life where you said, I want to get from behind the desk to in front of the desk. I want to get from being a bit detached to being as involved as you so clearly are with others now?
I was bored with being an accountant, and I couldn't show people the value of preparing a financial statement because it was government related. So nobody really values that. So for me, I wanted to be valued. I wanted to be the hero in someone's life. I wanted to change the world, right? So I knew I had to get out from behind the desk and I had to be able to connect with people. And I did that through personal and professional training and organizations. And I literally turned myself inside out and upside down to be who I am today. And that's why I'm very clear about your way of being is you can have all the skills in the world, but if you haven't got a way of being that's connecting with people, it's just not, it's going to be a hard slog.
Yeah, I completely agree.
yeah, businesses are built on relationships.
Mhm. Absolutely.
That's it, you know, and it just depends on what business you want to be in. But you still got to have relationships coming up in the front. So yeah, that's my quick, like, 2-minute thing of where I've come from. So I totally get where you're coming from and all of this, you know.
Wow, wow. And brava to you, by the way, brava for doing the thing that was probably not easy to do.
No, it wasn't. It was challenging. And I
Oops,
kicked
you
and
have
screamed
frozen.
a little bit along the way, but
I
I
wonder if we
was
still
pretty,
have each other.
yeah, pretty much I was coachable. I was pretty coachable along the way, which is good because you need to be coachable if you want to learn.
Yes, absolutely. You are freezing, by the way.
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see. It says my internet is a bit unstable, which is really weird.
So I think you said that you were coachable, I believe is what you said. It cut out, but yes. Yeah. Well, good. That's important. You
got to be coachable if you're a coach, right?
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And yet I'm sure you know, because I coach as well, that there's some people where you kind of want to go, listen, I don't want to waste your time and money because I don't think that I mean, I've never given up on anyone ever in my life, ever. But I often feel like, wow, this is going to be quite a journey where it's very hard sometimes to help someone figure out how to, for me, what I think I notice more than anything else is there are times when I just want to encourage people, like, just relax, because, you know, your vibe is coming across here because you're trying so hard. Your vibe is coming across in a way that's off-putting. And it's hard, I believe, to help people actually relax in their own skin, especially if it's going to be a new skin, like they're making a switch. You know, then
especially those people that we just spoke about, you know, the accountants, the architects, the engineers, and that they are very analytical. So they'll go along to something and they're trying to analyze what it is that they've got to do and process it and put it into, you know, the right boxes. Because I used to do that. I used to do that myself. Now I don't. I just go, you know, I'm in having conversation like with you, and it's just free going wherever it's going, okay? Because we're just free to speak, free to be, you know, and that's the social skills coming out, all right? So, but if you're trying to get somewhere, it never ever gets that way, you know, like,
And do you feel like you are now more a real or natural or genuine version of yourself than you were back there? Or are both versions you? This feels better.
My success, my business success has gone on like an absolute upward trajectory since I actually really harnessed in skills in that way. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And I do teach that to coaches as well, you know, because I do get the architects and the engineers who are great at what they do, but they want to build businesses. And I go, great, let's do this. You know, you've got the back end. But let's refine the front a little bit so that people actually will connect with you. Yeah. Interesting. Well, I've got one last question. So the GFactor is a unique set of skills, experiences, disciplines that give you the edge to be successful. So, you know, my final question is, when you look back on your life, your career transition, and, you know, where you've got to today, what's the one thing or the one discipline or the one thing that you believe has been your GFactor, you know, your success? What's your GFactor?
Could I have two? I would love to, because one of them is very specific and the other one is sort of more my personality, but one is a skill. So I'll do the skill one first. So yes, I'm a psychologist, and yes, I'm a professional speaker. Yes, I'm a lot of stuff, and I believe that I do those things well. However, my writing skills put me ahead. I also happen to write, oh my goodness, so 100% unprofessional. Did you see a cat tail in my camera?
I think I saw something. I wasn't sure what that was.
It was a cat tail. Someone has opened the door to my office and my cat has just walked in. And I would be telling everyone in the world, all my students, don't let dogs and cats in. Don't let your kids run through it. You need to look like a professional. So here I am being terribly unprofessional, and my cat just let her tail walk through, and she may walk over here in just a minute. So my apologies ahead of time.
That's all good. Love
You'll
cats.
later go, she was so unprofessional. Denise let a cat in. But anyway, it wasn't really me. So at any rate, it's my writing skills. I ended up being a good writer. I didn't necessarily set out to be one, but my writing skills got me noticed time and time again as I was working my way up the ladder of everything from when I was in college working in a furniture store just to earn money. Oh, I'm suddenly doing a lot of writing for this company. When I was working for the psychiatric corporation I was clinical director of, not only was I writing their grants and proposals and doing all those things, I got kind of saddled with the corporate magazine. I didn't really want to do it, but it was like, no, you're the writer, you got to do it. Well, it really propelled me ahead, being able to write. And I still write to this day. I write a lot of articles. I ghost write, I do. But my writing got me noticed a lot. And it was a skill that I don't even have on my resume. It's just, I just know how to write. But honestly, that skill has opened up so many interesting doors for me. So the writing, being a good writer and really knowing not just how to turn a phrase, but grammar, usage, punctuation, syntax, learning those little rules that people don't really want to have to learn the rules, but knowing them, it set me apart in many ways. So that was one of those weird things I didn't really know was going to happen, but I have to say that my writing skills has taken me to all kinds of places. So that, but then more the thing that's not a hard skill, I would say the other thing that has really helped me is to remain open to possibilities, to adventures, to things that I never saw coming. Because if I look back on my career, it's easy for me to talk to a group of people and make it sound like my trajectory was logical and planned and it went straight, was linear. It wasn't. And a lot of it, like I mentioned, I'm the luckiest person I know, for one thing, but there were just opportunities that came and they weren't necessarily ones I was looking for, and they weren't necessarily ones that were directly related to what I was doing at the moment. But somehow they seemed like the right thing to do. And so I was like, why not? I think I'll do that. It involved moving across the country sometimes. It involved leaving jobs that anybody would have wanted to keep forever. It involved trying things, taking chances. It involved founding a company, SkillPath Seminars, founding a company that began as nothing and became literally the world's largest training company.
Yeah.
So that was just a big jump that I'd never founded a company, but I thought it sounded like it'd be fun. So so my openness and my ability to say, why not? I think I'll try it, has brought me on such a beautiful journey.
That's your GFactor. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really is. And I would never suggest to anyone in your audience to be garrulous or just, to be, to not be cautious. And yet at the same time, I think that if I had a message, it would be, don't close yourself off from the possibility that some wonderful opportunity could be knocking on your door in the form of something that doesn't even seem like something you ever were pursuing. Yeah. So that'd be one of my things. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's awesome. That's great. I love it. Love it. Now, what's the best way people can reach out to you? How should they contact you? Like, will we direct them to your book or?
Well, so yeah, the book is for sale on Amazon. I think it's in several different forms, but and it's also used as a textbook in colleges and universities and things. So it gets used on campuses too. So the book is out there. And then of course, the usual suspects, DeniseMDudley.com is my website. And you can reach me that way by sending me an email. And I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. I have an assistant named Diana, and she really monitors all those things. But if anyone is reaching out to me specifically because they want me to come and do a talk at their high school, then I will respond.
That sounds good. Well, look, when the pandemic is over, and you can get to Australia and you can come on.
You froze again. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Are we back? I'm just saying.
We're back.
We're back. Now, when we've got airline travel to and from Australia, come on over. We'll get you into some high schools, have a chat with them, and see if some Australian high schools will take you up on your pro bono offer.
I would love that. I truly would.
You're welcome. You're welcome, because what you've got to offer is something that everyone in the world can benefit from. It's not country specific, it's not gender specific. It's actually everyone in the world can benefit from that. So fantastic speaking with you today. I appreciate your time, taking the time to chat.
My pleasure, absolutely. It's just been a pleasure. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is just the start for me. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd be delighted to come back and talk about communication components or anything else you want to chat about.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, look, Denise, thank you so much again. Have a sensational day for the rest of your day. And
you're still frozen. Are you? I don't know if you're still there. Are you there? You're frozen.
I'm still here.
Good.
Here.
Okay, good.
Have a sensational day. Thank you so much for your input and your wisdom. And I'm sure we'll be in touch again.
My absolute pleasure. Take good care. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.